Alrighty, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. It is time for round 16, the final round here of the Division 1 Championship here at ISRL Esports, and what a race we have in store for you today. We've got a championship fight, a championship title on the line here at what is Circuit Paul Ricard. It is time for the French Grand Prix. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Fallen Monkeys, Eric, here to take you through the action in the commentator's booth, joined of course by Jamie and Jamie. How are you doing? It's the final round here of season 6. What are your thoughts? Excited for what we have here in store?
Oh mate, very excited, and despite having 12 people, it's always a good race, no matter how many people there are. But it's just unbelievable how crazy the season's been. Like, I remember the first race, well, the evaluation race back in China to come all the way here to the last race of the season. It's just been a roller coaster ride. So, yeah, this Paul Ricard track not really most popular to most drivers here because it's notoriously very difficult and very easy to pick up penalties here as well, and also tyre wear, it could be an issue around here as well. I think it is a one-stop with the soft to medium, I think. I've not really been on this racetrack for quite a long time, but I think it's definitely a one-stop. But like you mentioned with the championship fight between Walter and Nathan, Walter for the last 3 races has won in a row, and he's been on great form, but he's currently, how many points is he behind? About 18 points behind is Relentless Walter, so he could, I think he's just going to go for the race win. I don't think he really cares about the tour. He does care, but I don't think he really has a championship on his mind because he probably, realistically, Nathan, all he has to do is just really finish to finish in the points to score the championship. So let's hope it's a good fight. We'll never know what could happen if Nathan has a problem around here or Walter does, but can Walter round off the season and start with 4 wins in a row?
Yeah, we'll see how that's all going to play out. Of course, it's all coming down to the final race. As you said, Jamie, 18 points is the difference here. Walter, his primary goal in that McLaren, get to P1. That's what he's hoping to do. That's his best spot to be. But that said, if he gets P1, he will need a little bit of help. Needs Nathan to finish P4, or needs Nathan to finish, I believe, P5 or worse to lock in that championship. If not, all Nathan needs to do is finish 4th or better, and that championship is clinched. And of course, you're seeing Nathan on your screen right now in the outlap, and I think as he's approaching that final corner, Jamie, final race of the season, do you want to do the honors? Take us through a lap here of Paul Ricard.
Let's go. So 5.8 kilometers to try and get your way around. So across the line we go to start Nathan's lap as he heads down towards turn number 1, using all the track available to him. Heading down, taking a lot of curb on the edge of turn 1 and turn 2. It can be very difficult, especially with the invalidations and losing the rear in turn 2. Spot on there, especially for early qualifying. Turn 3, swinging at the 50-meter board, using a lot of curb on the edge of both corners here. Slow speed corners though. Important to scrub off all the speed. You can see him short shifted. Great combination of driver there. You can see using the curb on the entry as well. And coming out of this one, very important exit because you set yourself up on the straight with DRS enabled, and we'll see a lot of overtaking and DRS trades around here at this particular part of the track as we head down into the chicane and going down to the heavy braking zone of turn number 8 and 9, using a lot of curb on the entry for both of them. Be very careful to lose the rear on that corner. Some people can get caught out into turn number 10 as we head through turn 11 then, which is fully flat out. 49.2, decent bit of set for Nathan on his first lap, banker lap, as we head down into turn 11 then. Let's see who takes it. You can see him using a wider entrance there to get a good exit, just slingshot exit, using 5th gear to rotate the car as well with the throttle. And coming into turn number 12, just don't touch that inside curve. Turn 13 using all the track and as much as you can get away with it. That invalidated it, coming through turn 13 and turn 14, this left hander. Now turn 15, a slow speed corner, very important to come up on the speed. This is where the tyres will be crying out the most with overheating as they heat up throughout the rest of the lap. DRS enabled then for Nathan as he makes his way towards the line, and his first lap, wow, it's a good lap time at 28.6. And let's see who's next to cross the line then. Can anybody beat that on his first attempt? XO Rocco next to cross the line, and he's got to P3 just behind Eustace in P2 at a 28.6. So that's close between Nathan and Eustace. I can't really see the lap time from Nathan. Yeah, I can see it now. It's about 200, under 200 slower than Nathan's time. So good lap from Eustace there in P3, and Carl Benson pots that Williams into P3 ahead of Rocco.
Yeah, so a bit of a shootout here early on between Nathan and Justice. Nathan, though, putting that slightly better lap time, as we've seen him do time and time again here so far this season, and it appears as though today is no different. Wouter, meanwhile, 28.8. Puts himself up into third fastest here on that first lap. Still a good amount of time in qualifying to go. A couple more drivers going to be looking to set their time. Ben JS had an invalidation on his first lap, so will not be improving. Calvin with a fastest sector 1, although I feel as I keep saying, I think it's more of a personal best than anything else. But we'll see as Mark dealing with a little bit of traffic, not too much worries here for the Red Bull drivers as he's taken that final corner. We'll see where he can put that Red Bull on what's been a bit of an inconsistent season for both himself and the Red Bull team. They've shown I'll say the Red Bulls, they've shown a lot of glimpses of great racing, but just a little bit unlucky and due to sometimes a little bit of their own doing, just not getting the results they're hoping for here. And 29.1 P5 here, maybe not the first time Mark was hoping for, but it's a time on the board nonetheless, and with room for improvement, that's for sure.
Yes, indeed. We've got Calvin next across the line as he makes his way towards the finish line. Let's see what lap time he can set as a 29.1. Puts himself behind his teammate as well to comment this. So both Williams locking out the third row momentarily. Giroud Visser, however, did back off. He did invalidate, so he must have made mistakes somewhere or not satisfied with his lap. Talk about validations. Total P's has also invalidated his lap time. A bit of a up and down season for Total P's as well. Not had the best of results, but yeah, hopefully he can have a strong one for tonight. Ben JS, the LP driver, has also invalidated his lap time. Ben JS, probably on course. Yeah, he did get the podium last week, but he did get speed to it. But I think he's picked up his first podium of the season back in Brazil, that wet race between himself and Walter, if I'm correct. Or was it? Yes, was it Rocco? It was one of the XO drivers, wasn't it? I think it was Rocco. Yeah, it was XO, Rocco, and Walter. Yeah, it was. It was Walter who won the race. Rocco came second, and I think came third. Was it BJS? I can't quite remember. It was a week ago, so I should remember. But yeah, what a race that was.
I think I would too, but it's escaping me here today with the final results. I do remember Wouter won it at the end with the penalties, but
it was Nathan who came third. Yeah, Nathan came third because he had a 5-second time penalty, and he did extend that gap towards himself and Wouter. Ben JS, I think he got caught up in a little incident there. In the end, he got caught up with Jamie one as well. I think that's why we didn't see Ben JS on the podium. I remember that now. It was a good battle between Wouter and XO Rocco. Rocco got his second podium of the season, I believe, second or third. But yeah, it's been a good season for Rocco picking up those podiums. As XO Dylan, then, he was a strong driver in the wet conditions last time out, and he makes his way towards the DRS there to complete his first lap. And let's see what lap time the LP can put on the board as he pots himself into P7 then, ahead of Mark by a few hundred. So decent lap time for XO Dylan for a second showing here in the top division of ISRL. Still got 3 or 4 people to set their lap times.
Yeah, a couple of them getting their what would truly be their second lap time done. Dealing with a little bit of the track limits, some invalidations here, which of course can be a bit of a reoccurring theme here, as we've seen throughout the season. But something for the drivers to iron out here as the session plays along. Feral Fury, though, reserving here once again for Division 1, taking this race in the Aston Martin coming through Sector 3. We'll see where he can put his car once he gets to the end of the lap. Of course, Nathan's 28.6 is still the time to beat. Going to be looking to improve on it, though. But speaking of Justice, in that Ferrari, he is actually running a flying lap right now, I believe. Purple in Sector 1, so going to be on pace to improve. And now as he's down the high-flying straight of Sector 2, I should say. We'll see what the Sector 2 time is going to look like. Might be a little bit more representative of the pace he's on here. And as he approaches the end of Sector 2, a tenth and a half quicker. So looking to be on pace here to go faster than Nathan and possibly snag that provisional pole here. But he's got to keep it together through Sector 3, through probably the more challenging section of the track. I would say a little bit more technical than Sector 2 and Sector 1. But looking to be holding his lines pretty well in that Ferrari. Only a few corners to go now. And now as he crosses or takes the final corner, is about to cross the line, opens up that DRS. Let's see what the lap time is going to look like here in that Ferrari. And will he go fastest? Wow. Yes, he does. And finds a lot more time there. 28.471 is the new time to beat from Justice in that Ferrari. And let's see how the rest of the field is going to respond to that.
Yeah, Nathan 49.0, Eustace did a 48.9, so he's about a tenth down towards Eustace in that middle sector. Can Chivuvis has got him to third place, good lap time from him in that Red Bull, but can Relentless Nathan then get back on pole position? He needs to find that time in the final sector to try and use his chances to try and get pole position back towards Eustace then. So he's making his way around turn 13 and turn 14. They're coming towards turn 15. A slow speed corner here, very easy to get wrong indeed, especially on traction when the tyres are at their best and crying out throughout the course of the lap. As he makes his way towards the line, let's see if Nathan can take that pole. Yes, he can by a few inches yet again. So Eustace and Nathan there, very close on pace like they were in the first run. So Wouter has got up into P3 in that McLaren, so decent lap time from him in his championship fight with Relentless Nathan. But yeah, barely anything separates those two. They can't keep each other away from each other like back in Brazil.
Yeah, just a crazy shootout, just a couple 100ths of a second separating both Nathan and Eustace there through the first two laps of the session. And I mean, if this is honestly, this is going to be a great shootout here by the end of the session if it's going to continue the way it is. Maybe I'd say they got about a lap, maybe two more to go here. With the amount of time left in the session and how much time they want to take in terms of preparations and whatnot, but still going to be great to see. Wouter, meanwhile, a couple tenths of a second behind, so still has a little bit more to find if he wants to get involved here in this shootout. And I will say, just with a couple stats that I have here when I'm looking at this finale here. When I'm looking at Nathan's stat line so far this season, he's had 7 pole positions. Also, so far this season, he's had 7 podiums. So, obviously, that means that if Nathan gets pole position, almost guaranteed for him to snag a podium at the end of the race, which of course isn't what Wouter wants. So I think Wouter maybe cheering on Eustace just a little bit more than usual here in this qualifying session, hoping that he can get the better of his counterpart in that AlphaTauri there.
Yes, indeed. Wouter there, he's a very quick driver all over the bar, but he's just, in a few races he's been unlucky. I think at the back of the Belgian Grand Prix as well. I think Nathan had a retirement back at the Belgian Grand Prix after I'm not quite sure what happened to him, but Mark's just gone a little bit wide coming out of turn number 11 there, just using the too much of the curb, it must be said. Unfortunately there, he was on course for a good lap time. It was a 49.2, about 2 tenths away from what Nathan did at middle sector. So Mark was on course for a decent lap time, but unfortunately just understeered off the track as he applied to try to use all the track, but unfortunately just the car didn't allow it. So into the pits he goes there. He quickly starts at 11th place. 11th place, not too bad, not bad of a place to start actually, because he gets to put on a brand new set of tyres. And of course, there's only 3 people outside the top 10, so he won't lose too much if he's on the medium. So might not be a bad place to start in 11th place, but we'll see then if he can improve with about a few minutes left to go in this session. Then, as majority of drivers are back in the pit lane, XL Dillon is out there along with Foul Fury. Foul Fury's improved by 1 tenth. I think Dylan is still on a lap. He's improved by 2 tenths in that middle sector, so he's found some time to try and boost his chances of getting closer towards the top. And let's see what Dylan can do in this final corner then. He's done 2 laps on those soft compound tyres, so he's about to make his way around that final corner now. DRS enabled for the RP driver as he makes his way towards the line. It's going to be P4. Wow, very good lap time, only a few hundreds, so we found a lot of time in that final sector, did XL Dylan. So second appearance here, he's doing a very good job.
Yeah, you gotta think for XL Dillon. Maybe there was a bit of a mistake somewhere along the way in on his previous lap, in Sector 3. Found a lot of time there, like you said, and made it work for him. The 28.7 puts him up into P4 and in a great spot to be. Of course, the way I'm looking at this here, as much as of course best of the rest, P11, not bad in terms of that free tire choice. If we end up stuck in that in a DRS train, like we've seen multiple times here in Division 1, being stuck a little bit lower down the field might not be too beneficial, even with the that free tire choice. Just with the inability to get past other drivers because you're all stuck on in that train getting DRS on the driver ahead. So something to keep an eye out here as we inch closer to the end of qualifying, and of course as we head into the race, with drivers possibly looking to set what very well could be their final flying laps here, with a lot of them leaving the pit lane, getting the cars ready for what so it should be their final flying laps of the sessions here.
Yeah, you can see Nathan there taking it very cautiously in that last set to just protect his tyres, making sure that working temperature range for one lap is about, you want the tyres to be about 87, 89 degrees to start your flying lap, or 85 degrees, that's what I started on. But here we go then, Nathan's about to start his potential final flying lap. If he doesn't validate, he might get a second chance because there's 2 minutes left to go. So here we go, into turn number 1, then let's see who takes this. Using a lot of curb into turn number 1 in 5th gear, stays in 5th gear throughout the whole of turn 1 and turn 2. You can see a lot of curb into turn 2. It might cost him a little bit because he didn't get the throttle as quickly as he would have wanted. And going into turn 3, then we've got a car ahead of us that's Eustace, might distract him a little bit, didn't get the right lines into turn 3. Now coming into turn 4, turn 5, into turn 6, the slow speed corner, just building back the throttle. You can see the back end of the car just complaining, and he knows that's not a good lap time. So Nathan then has backed out, unfortunately, and he's going to go for a second run. I think Eustace will have one chance only because he's just came out the pit lane and he's about to start his final flying lap later on. So Eustace, I think he's got one chance. So is Nathan now with him evaluating that lap time. So elsewhere on the track, I think XL Rocco out there is on a lap. Calvin's on a lap as well. So which one do you want to go on board with?
I mean, I've got XL Rocco here. He just went past that group of Nathan, Eustace. Purple in Sector 2 knocks about a tenth of a second off his time, so putting him into the 28s range here. But of course, Sector 3 is a bit of a make or break. Looks to be a little wide through Sector 3 there, at least in that initial entry. You do want to take a wider line through this corner. Just sets yourself up a little bit on the exit, leading into the final corner section here. 2 to go. Ooh, came very close there to an invalidation at the worst possible time. Keeps it the stick though, and as he head towards the line, let's see what XL Rocco can do on what could very well be his last lap. Wow, up into P3 for XL Rocco at 28.6, so really made that final sector work for him. I think another driver that needed a little bit of time just to get used to the flow of Sector 3, and he found it there up into P3. That's a great lap from XL Rocco.
Yep, indeed. Update, Javu has validated it, so he won't go again. Walter is 1/10 down, almost 2/10 down in the first sector, so there's a lot of times we found as qualifying has come to a close. So our main competitors out there, Eustace is on our lap, so is Nathan. Nathan has validated it, so he is under threat then from Eustace, who could take Paul away. He's improving by a few hundreds as Eustace. The back end of the car is complaining, the rear of the car just not stable enough for Eustace's liking. DMS enabled then, how much did that cost? Probably a few hundreds or protected hand, but he's still then coming down towards the chicane as he heads into turn number 8, using a lot of curve on the entry into 5th gear, now back into 4th, up into 5th immediately on the exit. As you can see, XL Rocco get out of the way very nicely there on the right hand side. Eustace, let's see what his middle sector's like. A few hundreds down, and if he gains a few hundreds, that could put him on pole position then. So the third sector, the most difficult sector where it all counts, and when the tyres are at their best in terms of tyre temperature, screaming through the roof there, coming towards the exit of turn number 11, and going into turn number 13 right now. Okay, confused between the coordinates. Turn 12 this is, and coming into turn 13 next, swinging in on the left-hander into turn 14, hoping the tyres will stick. Total P's has just popped himself into P3. Good qualifying. Eustace got a little bit wide on the exit there of the last corner, turn 15, as he's about to make his way towards the line. Can he take pole? Oh no, he can't. He's lost time in that final sector, and Nathan then is on pole position ahead of Eustace. P's good performance for him. Isa Kush P4, XO Rocco P5, Walter in P6 unfortunately for him, XO Dylan P7, Jeroen P8, Bork P9, Thomas is a P10, and Calvin will be in the best place to start in terms of being on the brand new set of tyres and go for the longest stint, along with Foul Fury and Ben JS. Ben JS, we did see him on the track, but unfortunately there did not get a lap time in, so indicating then he's struggling around here at the French Grand Prix.
Yeah, unfortunately for Ben JS, just not being able to get a lap time in. We'll be starting from the back in P3. I think Nathan breathes a bit of a sigh of relief. Had that invalidation early on that final lap. Of course, which was his second lap. The first lap didn't go quite to plan, but I think Justice, a mix of Sector 3 maybe not working out for him. I'm sure he's probably kicking himself a little bit for that tank slapper right on the exit of, I believe it was turn 6 that we caught on the stream here. That could have just made the difference between pole and P2, but still a front row of the grid start for the Ferrari driver. So a great qualifying for him here. Pease gets that lap in where he needed it right at the end of the session, up into P3, having knocked off Isaac Kush, who also got that lap in when he needed it. You can see that just by about 1/100th of a second separating Pease and Isaac there. XL Rocco, we saw that great lap that did put him up into third, but got knocked down to fifth. Wouter did not improve on his final lap time, which a little unfortunate for him. He's going to be starting, I won't say all the way back, but still, relatively speaking, pretty far back in P6 for the start of the race. So making an already difficult task that much harder for him here. As we're just getting set to load in to the Grand Prix. Now, of course, we got greeted with a little bit of a surprise in Brazil. And speak of the devil, and he shall appear. We are greeted with yeah, it's like they knew it was just it's the finale. Gotta throw an extra little curveball here into the race. Now, of course, this kind of leaves you wondering how many drivers do you think, well, contrarily to what Nathan was saying in interviews last week, how many drivers do you think actually would have put on a wet setup here? Or do you think normally they'll just take the, I'll call it the Nathan route of just run the one setup and do minor adjustments if needed here, depending on how it feels in the conditions, let's say on the formation lap or like after a lap or two off the start?
Although track position is crucial anywhere when it starts raining in the race, so I think qualifying will be the main story yet again. But that wasn't the case in Brazil until that safety car came out by Isaac Kush. It all changed in the final few laps of the race, but without that safety car, without Isaac Kush crashing, I think it's just been a straight fight between Nathan and Justice, who first and second anyway, but yeah, track position is crucial here. In terms of setup, I think I would have gone for the dry setup because I wanted that track position and straight line speed to help me down the corners. Like I said last time in Brazil, as long as you get a good exit out of the main points where the overtaking spots are, let's say coming out of turn number 7, well, turn 6 into turn 7 on the long straight, then you're all safe. As long as you don't squirrel around too much, get a tank slapper on the exit of those corners. So yeah, crucial exits then for all the drivers to make sure they're getting that braking point right, making sure they're getting out the corners very quickly without losing too much time on traction on wheel spin as well. So yeah, it's going to be another case of Brazil, but let's say whoever makes it down to the first corner first will probably take the victory of the race unless something dramatic happens. Probably, we've seen it before where the weather can change into dries. It was almost the case in Brazil last time when we saw inters to dries, but it just came a little bit too late. We didn't see any soft runners. All the soft runners got eliminated in that race, but yeah, let's see what happens then in the next 27 laps. Will the weather change? Because it can do in France. I've seen plenty of wet races in France and qualifying sessions as well, so weather has played a massive factor here at the French GP. Who's got the wet skills to try and negotiate their way around for 27 laps?
Yeah, we'll take a look. I mean, of course, with the way he's performed in the past, I mean, Nathan always up there too as a driver to look out for. I mean, last week, of course, we did have. I mean, Justice was keeping very good pace with him. Of course, his formation lap here might bode a little bit differently. Saw him go for a little bit of a spin there, trying to get the tires heated up here into that optimal range. Could also just be part of that strategy he's got going on for the tire temperature management, but we'll see how that plays out with the start of the race. I do have to agree with you, Jamie. I think the run into turn 1 is going to truly make or break here this race once again, unless of course we see the conditions change over to dry a little bit quicker and a little bit more efficiently than it was in Brazil, because of course no DRS to help out. Drivers are going to be on equal playing field, so it's going to rely on corner exits. It's going to rely on some straight line speed to try to get some overtakes done here in this case, which of course is a little easier said than done, with most of the drivers I'm sure knowing and having all but perfected which corners truly are the ones to look out for. So unless a mistake, unless you're really able to catch a driver napping here, could be fairly difficult to get some overtakes done here in these early stages. But drivers have taken their positions on the grid, and we are just about set here for the French Grand Prix, the final round, up to 5 red lights.
Ooh.
Oh no, a drive-through penalty for Justice, as that's not what he was hoping for right off the bat here. I think the second or third one of these we've seen this season, so Justice, of course, artificially takes a bit of an advantage into turn 1 here. Nathan down in second, was pressured a little bit through P's into turn 1. You can see it closer to the midfield. Drivers looking to work their way up. Wouter and the McLaren trying to gain a few spots here. You saw him maybe have a look, I should say, on XL Rocco, but didn't quite go to much. The Red Bull of Mark side by side with Carmentelis as they're taking the sweeping right-hander, and that looked to be Mark, who gets ahead, finds a little bit more grip in these conditions. But look at the run Carmentelis has. He's going to be trying to push back. It's going to be possibly a game of chicken into the braking zone here, as Carmentelis on the inside, Mark on the outside. Looks like Mark does hang on to that position for the time being, but up at the front, it is still Justice. I'll say Justice in P1 for now, but of course he's going to have to serve that penalty within the first 3 laps, so he's going to be falling down the order with Nathan and Pease behind and the rest of the field following suit. But it does look like everybody made it through pretty cleanly, pretty safely through the opening 2 sectors here of the first lap, and are going to be able to settle into the groove now moving forward here in this race.
Yeah, that was a nice move for Fiore, go down the inside of Calvin into turn number 11, I think, and it looks like Benji is going to fancy a move. Calvin there just sliding off the track. He's going to go back down. No, he's not actually going to back out of that into the final corner, but he's still alongside him. Can he get the run out the final corner to try a bit of wheel banging there for both of them as they both apply the ERS to go side by side on the straight there, fighting for P12 as Benji versus Calvin. Headed down to turn number 1, which one is going to bail out, or they're going to go side by side into turn 1 and turn 2. Let's see Calvin with the outside line, which converts into the inside line, and I think Calvin's got the place. Yes, he has said. So Calvin up into P12. I'm not quite sure if he sustained a little bit of front wing damage, not visible, because he did make a little bit of contact with Fiore as they went side by side to the awkward turn of turn number 11, but looks like Calvin's okay. He's currently defending from BenJS, but Eustace up into P1 has 2 laps now to try and serve his drive-through penalties. Extended the gap to 1.6. Nathan knows he doesn't have to risk it, knowingly that Eustace has picked up that 5 second time penalty, but I bet Wouter was hoping that Nathan picked up that drive-through penalty at the start of the race for his championship hopes to be alive, but Nathan then 1.8 seconds behind, almost but up to 2 seconds. He's just focused on the guys behind. He knows he's got the race in his hands for the rest of the race once Eustace serves that drive-through penalty.
Yep, so we'll, yeah, that's the thing. We'll have to see how that's going to play out here. I mean, Justice, I think his goal, just try to grow as much of a gap as he can to limit the damage here from that mistake. And after that, it's just going to be head down and push for the Ferrari driver to try to make up for what will be lost time here. I will say, Pease, though, keeping Nathan honest through the first 2 laps here. But of course, I think possibly having to focus a little bit more on the driver behind than the driver ahead, with Isaac Kush putting a lot of pressure, a lot closer to Pease than Pease is to Nathan. Justice, meanwhile, heads into the pit here at the end of lap 2. He's going to be serving that drive-through penalty, and very good chance that he comes out right at the back of the field here. Might have some clean air. to work with to help himself try to catch up, but it's going to be a tall ask to try to maneuver through the field here once he does catch up to him. Meanwhile, elsewhere on the track, you can see Jerome in the Red Bull closing up to XL Dillon. I think wanted to put a little bit of pressure here, but you can see struggling a little bit through this through that sector. Had to go a little bit wide, and that's going to compromise his line through the exit of this corner here, I would think. And you can see trying to close up, but not making all that much ground. I think he, like so many other drivers, really wishing they had the DRS open, the DRS available to them to be able to try to close up that much quicker, make a few extra moves. But unfortunately, until this rain subsides and we start getting some dry running, it's not going to be the case. But a nice exit of the corner means Jerome going down the inside here of XL Dillon. Can he get the overtake to stick? XL Dillon still hanging on. They came very close to making contact. We've got a yellow flag here. So that's Feral Fury, who's out of this Grand Prix, and that's going to bring out a virtual safety car here. We're able to see what happened to Feral. I think we just passed his car here on the with the onboard of Justice. I think looking at where he is on track, I think he might have just lost it on the on that sweeping right-hander into sector 3 on the mini-map. It's right where that number 3 is on your screen. Normally it's pretty flat out that you would take it in the dries. In the wet's a little bit more challenging, but I think maybe just the car got too slippery on Feral, and after that, that's a very high-speed collision, and I think that's the end of his Grand Prix. But back to racing.
So unfortunate there, because it's quite easy to lose it at turn number 11, especially when it's wet conditions. You don't want to take it flat, you want to lift up a little bit out of turn 11, but yeah, a lot of people have lost it in the past before, so Feral Fury won't be the first or last one to lose it through there, but yeah, that was a nice battle between Giroud and Dylan. I thought that Giroud almost got sent into a spin because they were so close into turn number 11, but thankfully he didn't, as Dylan left at just enough space, and he's under attack again as Giroud is right behind Dylan. Then as he pulls to the left hand side, Giroud is going to go down in the inside. Dylan late on the brakes though, and it's his corner and he stays ahead, so good defensive there from Dylan, being late on the brakes and trying to get the traction of the corners. But Isak Kushner has overtaken Pisa, so must have got a good exit cut out of turn number 9, and Isak Kushner promotes himself up into P2 ahead on total Ps. Meanwhile, Giroud still can't get past Dylan. He's going to try again for the second time? No, he's not, as he stays behind. You can see him there taking different lines, trying to get a decent exit, better exits than Dylan, try and put him off as he goes ever larger in his wind mirrors. But yeah, Dylan is doing a fantastic job. His pace is quite decent, in fact. I think these two had a good battle back in the Brazilian Grand Prix, so it's not the first time Dylan has been under attack by Giroud in the wet at Brazil.
Yeah, I will say, as you were mentioning that, I did notice. So Calvin, way down the order, up and down into 12th. Those wondering what happened there didn't quite see it. It looks like he did take a pit stop. Might have had a wing change in there too, so could have possibly been involved with that incident with Feral Fury, or with another incident on track. I didn't quite see. I didn't quite see the incident itself. I just noticed the yellow flags, but I did see Calvin already with a pit stop here in this race, which is why he's down in 12th, and why Justice already up one spot as he's still trying to close up the rest of this lead pack. Currently trailed by Ben JS, but you can see everybody sticking with one another. Nathan, crucially, just about 1 second ahead of the field, a little bit lower than that, but unfortunately, we haven't quite seen too much overtaking here. Just drivers trying to keep calm, trying to keep their own cars under control here, sticking with the field in this stage, and maybe a bit of a waiting game here for when and if the tires start to fall off a little bit here with the intermediates. Maybe we'll see a changeover that creates a little bit more chaos, a little bit more confusion amongst the field, trying to figure out who wants to pit at what time. But we'll have to see how that all plays out as this race continues onwards. But I mean, for now, I'm still seeing Jerome putting so much pressure on XL Dillon, but Dillon almost putting in at this stage, a bit of a clinic on how to defend here in these tricky intermediate tire conditions.
Yeah, that is correct. He's been under attack by Drew about 2 or 3 times now, and he's managed to make the breaking point. He's managed to stay ahead on the right parts of the track. However, back to your point on Calvin, I did have a look at him when he went in the pits. He did not change his wing. He just put on a brand new set of intermediates, so I'm not quite sure why. Maybe he meant to change his wing, but probably the team thought there wasn't enough damage to change the front wing, so unfortunately Calvin is suffering with front wing damage. He did change it, and therefore will have to try and withstand it for the rest of the race unless another safety car comes out. But Eustace we're probably hoping for a safety car to come out to try and boost his chances to get back up the field. But I'm surprised there wasn't another domino effect on drive-through penalties, because we saw the Belgian Grand Prix when it was wet. When one car went, about 3 or 4 more went. So only one person this time getting caught out by that drive-through penalty. And unfortunately for Eustace, it cost him a lot. He's down into P11, and Total Peace is putting the pressure back on Issa Kush. Wants to P2 back in the race. But look at Jeroen, he just go all the way around the outside. But Dylan then stays where he is, and Jeroen ever more frustrated right behind Dylan, who's doing an outstanding job, it must be said, to keep Jeroen behind. He's a very good driver in the wet, but it must be said, he's had a lot of good races here in the wet conditions, and it's the track he likes as well, the French Grand Prix. Oh, Dylan! Oh, he almost lost the car! I think he's lost it. Oh, he saved it. Nice save there from Dylan, but it's allowed Jeroen to come through then. So that mistake from Dylan, he almost did a foul Fury, but saved the car. As you can see him sliding off the track. But yeah, it's a very easy place to get caught out, and he had to let the position go towards Jeroen. So can Jeroen there, with the 1.3 second gap, close in on Wilder ahead?
Yep, we'll have to see. He's got a little bit of clean air now that he can work with here, does Jerome, so he can use that to his advantage now that he's finally been able to get past XL Dillon. A little bit like I was saying, you got to be hoping for a bit of a mistake from drivers ahead to truly get overtakes done in these types of conditions. Of course, sometimes when you put pressure on a driver just repeatedly lap after lap, you can kind of help your own case and help create a forced error, an unforced error from another driver, which could have been the case there from XL Dillon, possibly just feeling the pressure from Jerome and taking a little bit of a misstep in the process. But you can see a purple sector 1 for the Red Bull drivers. He's trying to close up, already brought that gap down to under a second. But of course, we'll see how that. We'll see if he's going to be able to close up just a little bit more, work his way up the field on this track that Jamie, like you said, he's been very comfortable on. Elsewhere on the field, that gap between Pease and Isaac Kush has grown just a little bit here, and of course Nathan is cruising out front. 1.3 second gap between himself and the Mercedes of Isaac Kush, with Wouter still stuck in 5th with nowhere to go at this point. I think Wouter probably not too happy about the rain, if I'm going to be honest here, given essentially what we've been seeing for the first 7 laps, a little bit more train running with the lack of DRS and just a bit of an inability to overtake here on this track that normally has a whole bunch of overtaking opportunities, of course with the help of DRS down that back straight in sector 2.
Yeah, Jeroen visited on the pace. He's just at the fastest lap of the race then, so you can clearly see he's got some decent pace in that Red Bull. Maybe his qualifying pace let him down, but nevertheless he's still making up that lost positions and now trying to apply the pressure on Wilder, who's pushing pressure on XL Rocco, going for his 3rd podium this season. He got 1 in Portugal and the other one back in Brazil when it was Wilder versus Rocco, and this time Rocco is ahead of Walter, and he's currently on the charge for P3 ahead of Peace. However, Issa Kush though brought the gap down to 9/10 now, so the gap was about 1.3, 1.4, so he's found some pace and he's responded towards Nathan then. So looks like he's maybe struggled a little bit in these wet conditions, but found a little bit more pace and therefore putting pressure on Nathan. All of these drivers except Nathan will be hoping for the conditions to be much better, because as you can see here, it's very, very hard to overtake. Like I was mentioning back in Brazil, if you got the same pace or near the same pace as somebody in the wet conditions, it's just so hard. You just got to pray and hope. Oh, talk about mistakes there. Issa Kush used all the track, so probably got a warning for that one, as he did go slightly off the track, so be careful not to do that more than 2 times already, otherwise he'll pick himself up a penalty. But like I said in Brazil, it's just so hard to overtake in the wet conditions. You just got to hope that the guys ahead make mistakes, and you try and put as much pressure as you can on them.
Yeah, that's I mean, truly the name of the game here. Like you were saying, similar to what we saw in Brazil, we're seeing this here. You want to hope for mistakes here from drivers ahead. A little bit like I was mentioning. Of course, if you put sustained pressure on the driver you're trying to chase, you might be able to force them in an error. Just get them thinking that you're there, make them aware that you're there behind, and you're going to be ready to jump on them. But of course, here at this level, it's a lot easier said than done. We have seen it, but like I said, not something we'll see as often as some of the lower divisions. But we've been on board with Isaac Kush for the last lap or so, and you can see he's closing up, starting to find a groove, finding a little bit of pace here with these intermediate tires. The gap down to half a second now compared to what it was right around a second a lap or two ago. So this Mercedes is starting to look a little bit more quicker, a little bit more speedy here around this track over the last few laps. I will say there are some sections of the tracks that look like it's getting brighter. Looks like the rain might be subsiding, but I don't think there's any word on the rain stopping anytime in the near future here, as it's still falling here on lap 9, but around half a second is the gap. So keeping Nathan honest here is Isaac Kush, but we'll see if we'll still have to see if he can close up a little bit more and maybe try to go for a lunge, try something down the inside, down the outside, just to put a little bit of pressure here. Elsewhere, I was monitoring the gap between Rocco and Wouter around 0.8 of a second. It was closing up a little bit closer before, but not quite as much as it is now. Jerome, meanwhile, a half a second behind Wouter, so that speediness is continuing in the Red Bull, still looking very comfortable here, and maybe Jerome might be able to work some magic, make a little bit of make some moves here over the next lap or two, and you can see it looking very comfortable in these braking zones, in these slower corners, looking a lot easier for Jerome to just chuck the car into these corners compared to a couple other drivers that I've been on board with, and that could pay dividends. That could play an advantage with them if he's able to use that to his advantage, along with still being able to hit the corner exits as good, if not better than some of the other drivers as well. But 0.3 of a second now is the gap between Jerome and Wouter. So if you're Wouter, you want to get a move on a little bit. If you're Jerome, well, just keep adding the pressure, and you might be able to find yourself in a nice P5 in about a lap or two. But that's not going to help all that much, having to go a little bit wide into that blue section of the track that will really eat up the tires if you're not careful, if you do it too often.
Yeah, dirty air, combination of dirty air, kind of a lot of speed into turn 11. He was very confident and comfortable, but could be careful also not to pick up those warnings that could cost costly towards the end of the race. But you can see there, braking later, carrying more speed. He's just experimented where he can attack Wouter, and eventually he'll get his man very soon. But Wouter then, he knows that try and defend the position from Javuva, so can he try and stay ahead? Will he brake later than him in the corners? Will he try and defend in the middle of the road? We'll see then between these two, Wouter and Javuva. But yeah, Javuva looks like he's the comfortable and fastest man out there if he was in clean air, but got a lot of work to do in P6 there to try and find his way past these guys ahead. But I did notice on lap 9, Total P's made a slight mistake into turn 2. He wobbled off the track, took a lot of curb into turn 2, and he was outside the 1 second gap, but still found the pace to close in that under 1 second gap towards Isaac Kush then. So Total P's responded well there with the pressure from Rocco and Co behind. However, XL Dillon there in P7, not too far away from Javuva. Oh, and that is a Williams of Calvin, who's gone for a spin at the final corner. He gets back on the track, so Calvin's race unfortunately has not gone to plan. But it looks out there, it has... Let's have a look. Yeah, it's stopped raining, so we're just waiting for the track to dry up now, aren't we?
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth as I jumped on board and had noticed now the rain has stopped falling here. So now we just got to let the intermediate tires take its course, really push some of that water off the racing line, create a bit of a dry line. Possibly at that point, DRS could get activated. We might start seeing some pit stops here in a little bit. for dry tires once the track proves to be ready for it. But of course, could create a little bit of a chaotic situation here on drivers trying to jump the gun. Maybe drivers are going to miss the gun entirely. So of course, race is far from over here. Only lap 12 out of 27, but you can see the sun is starting to show. Lens flares on board with P's, as you can see on the screen here. So this track could get to drying up relatively quickly. Ben JS is already heading into, is already taking a pit stop here, and look at that, he's going for the medium tires. So I think it's a little bit early for the Alpine driver, but down in P11, second last of the running cars. I don't hate this choice to go early in the hopes that maybe a lap or two is going to be when that changeover period truly happens. But you know the rest of the field is going to be keeping an eye out on that, on Ben JS, to see how he's looking on those slick tires to possibly help them make that decision on when they want to take a pit stop here a little bit later in this race for their sets of slicks.
Yeah, you could give some information towards XL Dillon. Talk about XL Dillon. He's closed that gap down to 1.5 to 1 second now. He's just under 1 second a few moments ago. So still got some decent pace to keep towards Jeroen Ritter and stay ahead of Mark. So he's doing a fantastic job in that Alpine. He's going to keep an eye on his progress of his teammate as well, who's on the mediums. Very risky strategy indeed. Just pitting when the rain has just stopped. But Issa Kush, he's at 2 seconds away from Nathan. About a lap ago, he was about 7/10 away. So something must have happened. Not looking comfortable in that Mercedes whatsoever. Alexa Rocco picked up a 3 second time, but as you can see, Issa Kush there right on board with him, just understeered in that final corner. So he's not got the grip he likes, and unfortunately, they're just dropping away from Nathan as he just set the fastest lap of the race. So expect some dry tyres very shortly, probably about 2 or 3 laps still left on these inters, and one of the Red Bulls there will have to stay out longer than the other or try and pit and take the pain of running the tyre a little bit too early, because it's a massive pit lane loss around here at the French Grand Prix.
Oh yeah, it is a lot of time lost here. So we'll see how that's going to play out for the likes of the Red Bulls, how they want to go about it. Of course, once the time comes, and not looking like that's the case yet, as Calvin is able to close up and overtake Ben JS for P11. So Ben still waiting for the that time to come where the medium tires are truly going to be faster. You can see that. Sure, I noticed that with the likes of Isaac Kush as well, who's now a 3 second gap. So I think just starting to be maybe not as comfortable here on those tires. It could be the wear, it could be that slick line is just starting to show its head, and Nathan maybe having just a little bit more control of the car than he's at in these cases. But now P's right up behind the Mercedes driver. He might be able to snag that second place right back from Isaac Kush in a lapse time, depending on if these struggles continue. But Nathan heads into the pit lane. P's heading into the pits as well. Rocco following along. Isaac Kush, though, he's going to continue on for another lap. He doesn't feel as if the time is there just yet. He doesn't think the track is ready. Wouter, crucially, as far as the championship is concerned, he's also going to be staying out for another lap, and so is Jerome and XL Dillon. But everybody else, they're making the call. They think lap 14, that's the time to do it. Medium tires, come on. And we're going to keep an eye out on... I'm going to peek at Nathan just to see on this first lap how he's looking, or how he's going to be looking on those medium tires. Not seeing too much of a pure
It's
dry
time.
line on track. You would say it's time?
Yeah, it's time for the medium compound tyres now, and the suitable for the mediums now. The inters will just eat up at this moment in time, and it looks like Mark pitted. So Mark was the first man to pit, as Jeroen has overtaken Wouter, so all injury there for Wouter falling down in position. But yeah, so I think it's time for Pitt to pit this lap, because the DRS did come enabled on the exact moment when Relentless Nathan and Total P's pitted on that lap, so where they pitted at the right time, and Ben JS is closing as well, and he's overtaking Calvin. So about a lap ago it was late, too early, sorry, but now it's bang on time. So I dare say these guys will have a huge undercut advantage on the top four who decide to stay out, but let's see how it plays out for them later in the race. But yeah, the guys who have pitted from 5th all the way down to 10th, including Calvin, have made the right choice.
Yeah, and I mean, very crucially, just to help support that thought, that gap is closing at a rate of knots between XL Dylan and Nathan. You can see there go the top four now heading into the pit lane. But I think the damage might already be done here, as if we switch over to the leaders here. Oh, a yellow flag. That's Calvin out of the session. Is that gonna be? Is that gonna bring out a possible safety car, virtual safety car? I don't think so. As it looks like he's I'll say too far from the rest of the field to trigger that from the session. Nope, the car has been cleared out. We're back to racing. So not a gift. I'm sure that those top four that pit a little late we're hoping for, just not quite the case here. But unfortunately for Calvin, that's the end of his Grand Prix as that's a DNF on lap 14. But everybody on the medium tires now, possibly looking to go to the end of the race here. Nathan took the lead, and he's got a 3.2 second gap to Ariel Pease now, who is under a little bit of pressure from XL Rocco. But for Nathan, he has been and now continues to be in full control here of this race. So he's just got to bring this car to the end now. And that championship could be his, as Isaac Kush takes a 3-second time penalty now that will be added onto his time for multiple warnings for track limit extensions. And
yeah, oops, sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying, XL Rocco, I thought he was gonna go for an overtake on Pease, but just that gap, it looked like it just closed up before Rocco was truly able to get his nose in there. So Pease still in second, Rocco in third, but this battle looks to be brewing here, and I think it'll continue as we start lap 16 here.
Yeah, XO Rocco's going to be careful not to spend too much time behind Pease, because in the background is Mark with a 3.2 second gap. XO Rocco has picked up the fastest lap of the race. He was in a position in the last lap to overtake him on the straight, but he decides he'll stay behind him and use it for the ERS and slipstream. So Carmentis and Justice have all set the fastest lap. Now the times are tumbling down as it starts to get drier and drier out of the track. But yeah, Rocco's going to be careful. He's going to monitor this well. He's going to judge it absolute perfection here against Mark, because Mark's 3.26 behind. XO Rocco, oh wow, just picked up a penalty as well, so these penalties are kicking in. But yeah, XO Rocco looking for his third podium in this season. Can he get that? Going to be careful not to spend too much time behind Mark and behind Pease, and Vice did too much as well, otherwise Mark will bring that gap down and claim a podium.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out to see how that's all going to play out. I mean, I'm looking here elsewhere on the track. As much as the gaps are there, still stuck in this DRS train. It looks like a lot of the drivers are. Got to put some emphasis on Wouter, who I think just he's had to get a move on. Hasn't quite had the luck of the draw with the I'll say with that wet weather start. I think was hoping that the likes of Nathan and the rest of the gang might have taken that pit stop a lap too early, but not quite the case, and that unfortunately hurt him that much more. And of course, like I was saying, now with Nathan comfortably in the lead, another fastest lap there for him to boot. Just to add on, it's looking a little bit difficult here, but a 3-second time penalty now was picked up by Nathan. Will be added onto his time, but the gap 3.7 seconds. So at this point, might not matter all that much. But of course, 10 laps to go. We've seen some of these chaotic finishes in the past. So of course, as we know, it's never over till it's truly over. But 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and as of now, it is looking like Nathan is in control, with the rest of the field just trying to close up. Closest battle still looks to be Rocco and Pease, but Jamie, like you're saying, Rocco, he wants to get a move on. He wants to get past Pease as soon as possible, especially with the likes of Mark, who's closing up here. 3.3 seconds, not much ERS in the tank, but we know Mark has a lot of pace at any circuit and can possibly close up this a I'll say the half a second gap to get within 3 seconds and maybe snag that final podium place here at this point in time.
Yeah, Rocco's looking very comfortable because Pease is running very low on ERS light markers, so he's using him for ERS and DRS, and as long as he keeps doing this with Pease, he should be able to have a go at him later on in the race and therefore take P2 away from him, trying to stay ahead of Mark. So yeah, Rocco also in a comfortable position, but Mark isn't because he's got company right behind him involving Isa, Javoon, Walter and Dylan in P8 then, so Mark's not really looking comfortable. But he struggled to get in the 3 second gap because he gets close in the corners, but when it comes to Rocco on the straight, Rocco just gains all that time back and what Mark can't because he hasn't got DRS, so he's just going to try and find something. But yeah, Mark got ahead of Javoon Visit as well in the pit stops. He decided to stay out one lap later did Javoon Visit, and that cost him hugely in P6 as he had potential pace in the wet conditions. But it looks like somebody made a mistake in the first set, so that was probably Carl Mentalist who caused it. Looked like, so unfortunately he had a spin. I think he was down at turn number 2. So yeah, it's a tricky place that is, turn number 2. Be very careful not to take too much curb. But yeah, it looks like Rocco then, with a lot of ERS at his disposal, will attack Pease later on in the race and try and clear him with the extra ERS advantage. Pease, unfortunately, can't do anything about it in P2. We can't save ERS because it's very hard, because you're not behind somebody with DRS. You can save a lot of it as you carry more speed on the straights and in the corners, so he'll be suffering quite a long time. He's hoping that Rocco does pass him and Pease can regenerate some of that ERS behind him and therefore attack him later. But Isa pushed then side by side with Mark as we go into turn 11, into turn 12 now. Look at this then, and Isa Kush on the inside into bit of contact there. More contact, and Isa Kush got hit by Javoon Visser and he went into a half spin there, and Mark, he picks up a 3 second time penalty, so all pressure is off Rocco's shoulders, and that was all caused down at turn number 12 there. I'm not quite sure what happened. Isa Kush there, he just got out of shape, and unfortunately Javoon Visser was there to pick him up and lose his front wings. So Mark then, yes, unfortunately what happened between those two, it happened so quickly, I can't even remember what happened. I was involved with them both.
Yeah, so I mean, I switched over to the spectator cam there. It looked like I mean, Mark and Izat were side by side as they're taking that left-hander where you take a little bit of the wider line. It looked like they just went into contact with each other more than once. I think twice they made contact with just the different lines the drivers were taking. From there, that second contact was the one that really unsettled Izat, who went for a little bit of a half spin, and unfortunately for the Red Bull, right into Jerome, who had nowhere to go but into the Mercedes. I think that brought out some wing damage. And both those drivers did have to take a pit stop and now find themselves running in 10th and 11th respectively, and relatively out of this race, barring a safety car or anything else coming out. Does work out well for Wouter and I'll say Dylan Justice, as they essentially gain a free 2 positions here in this in the order. So I'm sure they're not going to be complaining too much. But still very unfortunate for Izat and Drone, I would say. Just Drone, wrong place, wrong time, just had nowhere to go. Izat just trying to get an overtake done, just didn't quite work out, going side by side with that Red Bull driver. But now you can see Wouter closing up here into turn 1. Not quite going to happen here, but if he can keep close enough, might have DRS to work with and could be able to close up just enough to warrant an overtake into that chicane in sector 2 after that DRS zone. I think it's turn 8 and turn 9. We'll see how that's going to play out. Looking at the gaps here to the leaders here, Nathan still 3.4 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, so he's looking comfortable with that gap. Here comes Wouter, though, moving towards the inside. Is he going to be quick on the braking? It looks like he is. Got the overtake done before the braking zone anyways, so he is going to go up into 4th place. And now a tall order, 5 seconds to close up to the podium sitters here. Looking at the penalties, the top 5, as of right now, all have 3 seconds of time penalties here. That will be added on to their time. So effectively neutralizing the order here for that top 5. Maybe seeing the likes of XL Dylan sitting in 6th, Leapfrog a spot or 2 depending on how the gaps play out between now and the end of the race in about 7 laps time.
If there's a late safety car as well for XL Dillon, he might find himself winning this race. So, yeah, Dillon then doing a fantastic job with not getting penalties. Justus as well in P7 not picking any, same as BenJS. So this track is notoriously known for picking up with penalties, so you can be very careful not to pick up too many. But yeah, the top 5 do have penalties, and Dillon there staying comfortably in P6. If there's a late safety car, it could all come his way by picking up a podium or possibly the win.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I'm sure for Dillon, he's probably hoping for a little bit of luck in that case. We'll have to see how it all plays out here. No safety cars have come out yet this race. We've seen one virtual safety car very early on here. But for the most part, we've essentially had all laps of green flag racing here, which of course is kind of what we like to see here. I don't like having those safety car breaks, but they can really create some excitement here for the race. And speaking of excitement, XL Rocco was about 1/10 of a second behind Pease in Sector 3, which was a little unfortunate for XL Rocco, just maybe not able to find the route he needed to take to get the overtake done for that P2 here net on track. But you can see XL Rocco continuing that push, almost has a full battery in the tank to work with. Pease meanwhile with maybe about 5-10% left, so the advantage looks to be in XL Rocco's court. But I think possibly knowing the situation that he has here could be just playing patient as hold that thought, as XL Dillon now makes an overtake on Mark into turns 1 and 2. So XL Dillon up into P5 as he's now trying to go for a little bit of a run, closing right up to Wouter there for that P4. Could have it on penalties, but of course I think he wants to get it done on track. He wants to maybe go for a run, possibly realizing that out of what is now the top 6, he's the only one who doesn't have a 3-second time penalty, so maybe a little bit of an extra jump in his step to try to close up that gap and see if he can possibly eke out a podium here for himself and the Alpine team. But still has a little bit of work cut out for him here, as he still needs to close up a little bit more. Gap showing 4.8 between Wouter and XL Rocco, so you got to close that up first before you're able to think about that.
Yeah, it's going to be quite difficult if Dillon does make the move on Wouter, because on pure pace it's just so difficult to try and close that gap down, as XL Rocco has the advantage of DRS and slipstream. So if Dillon does make up the time, Rocco will make it all back on the straight, as Rocco's still putting a lot of pressure in his pursuit for P2 now, because on the level play field in terms of penalties is Rocco and Pease, so he can fight for P2, which does match his best result of the season, XL Rocco, with his fight with Wouter in the last race in Brazil. So it looks like Rocco towards the end of the season has been really, really strong. His first podium in Portugal alongside his good mate XL Larkin as well. Unfortunately, he's not here tonight, is XL Larkin, along with other people as well. I think there was an event who took place, that's why the race was 1 hour later, but unfortunately some people could not take part of the race. So XL Rocco, they're looking comfortable at P3, as Pease is run out of ERS, or he's low on ERS, as XL Rocco's got 100% then, so they'll definitely go for it later in the race, just saving tyres, saving the battery, and just putting pressure later. Isa Kush has overtaken Giroud Vizza for P9, that's before turn number 1, and you don't really see overtakes into turn number 1, it's always down towards turn 9, turn 10 and turn 11 where it ends off. But Rocco stays behind Pease for the time being, just waiting for the penultimate lap or the last lap to go for it. And once he does, he has the ERS to defend from him as well. Mark putting pressure still on Dillon ahead of him. And Dillon in his own fight with Wouter, who is quite low on ERS himself, so Dillon can fight him once Wouter's vulnerable on the straight with a lack of ERS in his disposal. But yeah, the gap growing between Rocco and Wouter about 4.8 now, so it's highly unlikely that Dillon will pick up a podium. But he's doing a very good job, because this track, it's just very difficult in terms of not getting a penalty whatsoever. But the drivers who do manage to not pick up a penalty, that's just some good racing indeed.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely shows some good execution here for the for the drivers who don't pick up penalties here. Only I'll say only 3 remaining here in this grid who have yet to pick up a 3-second time penalty. As you can see, that is XL Dylan, Eustace, and Ben JS a little bit further down. But it's been a fairly close race here. We've had a couple battles, I think, but now given where we are a little later in the race, drivers I think playing that chess match, waiting for, like you said, the final lap, the penultimate lap, to get that overtake done, so they can snag that position and not have and not worry about constantly having to battle lap after lap just to keep it, have that switch in positions like we see sometimes with these DRS battles. So I think just using that to their advantage to keep with the driver, keep following them, but backing out a little bit before the overtake, and then use that last little. Use your battery on the penultimate lap, on the final lap, go for the overtake, snag that position, and then with some of the drivers, the likes of XL Rocco, use that DRS that you've accumulated to your advantage. To defend afterwards. A little bit further down the field, though, we saw Jerome re-overtake Isaac Kush. I'm sure that was with the help of DRS, as these two drivers are essentially running their own race here for what is P9 after that pit stop with the collision a little earlier on in the race. I do have to say, Justice, a little lucky, but I mean, a good recovery up into P7 after having to take that drive-through for jumping the start. An unforced error for sure, but what could have made for a bit more of a I'll say an exciting battle up at the front between Eustace and Nathan. Transition to a bit more of a pit and recovery drive for the Ferrari driver, and P7. Not bad. 2.5 seconds to go to try to close up to Mark and the rest of this field. So the laps are dwindling down. Lap 25 out of 27. Not too sure if Eustace will have it in him to be able to close up enough in time. But I mean, still a great drive for him nonetheless, given what he's had to tend to.
Yes, 2 races there. He's lost out to a podium or potential win. One because of his internet connections and his AI pitting when it's not supposed to, and this time it's a driver error. So Eustace there being a bit unlucky, but we all know he's a very strong driver. He could have been challenging up there with the likes of Nathan and co, but he's got his chances in the next season. But he's not always turned up because he's always been busy, I think, and he's just came back as Eustace, and he's been doing a very good job so far, but a little mistakes now and then, some are not his fault, like it's connection issues like I said, and this time out with that drive-through penalty. But on the penultimate lap then, XL Rocco looking to overtake Pease, further behind Dylan looking to overtake Walter, and they should have the ERS advantage. So let's see if Rocco then, will he wait for the final lap, or will he go for the penultimate lap? The thing is though, if he does go for the penultimate lap, he has the ERS to protect himself against Pease, who try and fight him back, potentially in the last lap. So let's see what happens there, coming out of these slow speed corners. These are decent exit out of turn number 6, going into turn number 7, using the ERS already to try and stick with Pease. DRS enabled, then Pease defended the inside line. He knows what's coming. All he can do is a wee, but not too much. And there he goes. Then Rocco will go down the inside into turn number 8 as Nathan has picked up another penalty. Is that a 6-second time penalty? And
yes, that is.
Rocco could get his first win of the season then. This could be very interesting. Rocco then, he knows that Nathan's got a penalty, and he could get his first win of the season then. So Rocco's seen that, acknowledged that, and now he's going to go for it. All he's going to do is keep it under 6 seconds. He's got a 1.5 buffer, has Rocco over Nathan then, so he'll keep it nice and calm now on the final lap of the race, and make sure he doesn't pick up one more penalty, does XL Rocco, because that's his chance of winning the race.
Yeah, well, yes, but I think he's going to have to close up just a little bit here, because Rocco has 3 seconds, right? Nathan has 6. So it's a net 3-second gap. So 1 lap to go. Can XL Rocco close a 1.5 here? He's got the battery in the tank to do it. You can see Pease is closing up now as he's got to turn with ERS, but not going to be enough to get the overtake done. A bit of a tall order to ask here for 1 lap to close up that much with the pace that we've seen Nathan have through the entirety of this race up until now. But still doable in a sense, but looking less and less likely as that gap has remained consistently at 4.6, 4.5 over the first sector and a little bit. So we'll see how that's going to play out. Pease is still putting pressure, got very close, but just not close enough. A little bit further on that second train behind, it is still XL Dillon who's hanging on to that P4 here. 4.1 is the gap between P3 and P4, so they still need to close up a little bit now. But that, similar to the gap between P1 and P2, a little less likely. As to be fair, you can see XL Rocco, he's putting in the work. That gap has closed up, but I think it's not going to be enough here with only about a sector to go. Gap 4.1, barring a mistake on the final corner here. A yellow flag in sector 2, but as he rounds the final corner, he knows it. We know it. It's P1 for Ariel Nathan here as he takes the victory and takes the championship with a great drive here in these interchangeable conditions. XL Rocco came close. You saw the light up, but still a solid finish. P2 holding off Pease, who rounds out that final podium here. XL Dillon Justice round out the top 5. Only a P6 for Wouters, so unfortunate for him, but still not a bad drive with Mark Carmentalist 7th and 8th, Jerome in 9th, and Isaac Kush ending his season in the pit lane, going to just retire that car early here on that final lap. Not even going to bother with the cooldown lap here. As he will take a P10 here on track with Ben JS rounding out the running cars. Say a good race, maybe not a race we've in terms of excitement like we've seen in the past, but of course the rain, the lack of DRS does kind of do that, but still a very good race. And I mean, watching the gaps, it got a little exciting right at the end there, especially with Nathan taking that extra 3-second time penalty, just adding to the drama there.
Yes, indeed. Congratulations, Nathan, for rounding off the season with a victory there. And yeah, got a bit confused with the maths there between Nathan and Rocco there, but he held it by 8/10, I believe, across the line. Congrats to Total Pease as well on the podium. Nice to see you back there. And XL Dillon with his second outing in ISRL Div 1. Did a fantastic job to finish in P4. Eustace, good recovery drive after a drive-through penalty, and didn't pick up a penalty either during the race, and he finishes in P5. Consolation there for Walter in P6, but yeah, those last three wins, he's been really strong, and hopefully can come back stronger in the next season.
Yep, that's hopefully we'll see. But I mean, it was still a great drive, a great race nonetheless here. So it's official now. We've crowned the champion here. It's a new champion for season 6. Ariel Nathan takes the victory and takes the championship officially here. So congratulations to him. I'm sure he's going to be enjoying the champagne, enjoying that. I mean, XL Rocco, he's had a great few drives over these last few races. So definitely a driver to look out for as the next season comes along. I mean, just honestly, great drives all throughout, great season. As we're sitting here, I'll see if I've got the hang on, I've got this here. I'll see if any of these drivers I mean, have the invite, want to jump in. I'm sure Nathan probably has the party invite already from the previous times. Let's see if XL Rocco and Pease have it as well. Maybe get some thoughts from them. I'll get that sent off here. Just to see for the final time this season, get the drivers' thoughts, opinions on that race here. But I'm just getting the invite sent off. Apologies if you're seeing that that wonderful blue screen here. Shouldn't be too long. Okay, so all three drivers do have so they do have the invite to as I call it the coveted comms podium party here. So we'll see if they want to jump in. I just noticed XL Rocco qualifying in P5 and up into second. So all considered, a track that we didn't see too much overtaking on. I mean, XL Rocco had I mean, just adding on to that great drive, Dylan from P7 up to P4, another big jump there for, like I said, a track that we didn't see too much overtaking on. Still unfortunate for Justice with the that unforced error, but I mean a P5 at the end of it, still I mean still a pretty good result all considered, given he got sent to the back of the field with a fairly significant gap to try to make up for after the I'll say after lap 2.
Just a way to
Yeah, and I think we do. Yeah, I was gonna say I think we do have one that that jumped in. I'm still looking here at the finishing results on the screen, but I'll say let's jump into the interview. Nathan, can you hear us at all?
Yeah, I can hear.
Perfect. So I'll get this out of the way. Congratulations, you are officially crowned the champion here for Season 6, Division 1. How are you feeling? I mean, tell us about it. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, it's my first like proper title in League Racing, so yeah, it's kind of obviously I think in terms of like the attendance tonight, but yeah, just in general, to get like a first title is obviously quite special.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, here in the race, you really completed it in fairly dominant fashion, I would say. I mean, P1 on the grid, yourself and Eustace had a little bit of that qualifying shootout there. You made it a little bit nerve-wracking right at the end with that invalidation on your last lap, but worked out for you. And I mean, with Eustace getting that drive through, after that point, you just seemed in control for the entirety of the race. So I mean, how comfortable were you going into this race that you'd have this under control in the manner that you did?
Yeah, obviously quality was really close between me and Eustace. I think it was just going to be like which one of us could hook the lap up, and obviously in the end, well, my last lap was sort of horrendous in terms of like just running wide, and then I think Eustace must have made a mistake in sector 2, and then yeah, the race, obviously the rain, it's a bit of a I've not been amazing like in terms of consistency in the rain, but yeah, it just seemed to obviously knowing Welter had to like kind of finish top 3, and I think he started like 6th or something, so yeah, it was just a case of keeping it on the track, and especially after the last 4 rounds, just kind of trying to like bring home actually a win.
All right, and I mean, Jamie, any follow up to that at all?
Hi Nathan, hope you're doing alright, mate. Congratulations on
Cheers,
the championship. You're welcome, mate. So what's been your best race of the season, do you think, Nathan?
I was gonna say the Belgium sprint race because that was obviously with the drive-through. I don't know. Let me hang on. Let's have a look at the calendar. Probably maybe USA. I'd say. Just because of like obviously the sprint at like winning the sprint and the future. And I think obviously the sprint it was like quite like tense for it. And obviously the like main race was a bit more easier, but obviously it was still just having to like be consistent. But yeah, I think obviously bar that, I think maybe Austria, but all of the races have been either like get pole and win, or just bottle very hard. But yeah, no, in general, just like it's just been obviously just trying to be consistent all season. And yeah, just happy to bring it home.
You've had some very strong pace this season, but it must be said, like when it's gone your way, you've been very serious this season. So, well deserved title, mate. You did a fantastic job all the way round. But what do you think's been your worst race this season? Do you think Brazil?
I'd probably but Bahrain. Yeah, Bahrain was that was one that I probably shouldn't have even turned up for. Yeah, I think Bahrain and maybe Canada, just because of pens. Obviously, there's been like a few DNFs at like Belgium, and I think Australia. But all season it's just kind of been, obviously with the game kind of getting to the end of the game cycle, just kind of trying to push myself like one step further than I could do before, and obviously then like allow myself a bit of freedom in the races, like starting either like P1 or P2, because in like you don't want to really be lower. If you want to like go for wins, you don't want to be lower than P2, because of like how powerful like the RS trains are. So yeah, just pushing myself every race one step further has just kind of like been almost like the key to picking up wins.
What do you think's changed from last year to this season, mate? If you chose like driver style, pace, and all that, where have you found the pace?
Probably just kind of mentality. Like I'm still occasionally in races like quite hot-headed, but I think as the game's kind of gone on, just get like being a little bit less hot-headed. Because like as soon as one thing would go wrong last season, it would just be a case of like, oh okay, like this is like completely done with. But now it's like picking up a warning or pen. It's kind of like, okay, like we just need to kind of adapt to then the situation, and then obviously learn from that for later races in the season. So yeah, I think just like mentality.
That's very interesting. Thank you, Nathan, mate. Congrats to the title again.
Cheers. Thank you both for comms all season as well.
You're welcome, mate. So good.
Yep, congratulations. I mean, 5 wins, 8 podiums, 8 pole positions, 1 championship. That's Ariel Nathan in a nutshell here this season. Congratulations on a dominant performance. And I mean, as I say, enjoy the champagne, but enjoy it a little extra harder this time around. Congratulations.
Cheers.
No problem. I mean, I see through that we've also got XL Rocco that jumped in. So XL Rocco, can you hear us at all on that note?
Yeah, I'm here.
Perfect. So, I mean, P5 in qualifying for you, a little bit, I'll say midfield, with the grid here that we had this week. I mean, a great drive from you, and you were looking very speedy all throughout there, especially near the end there. You looked quite comfortable here. Snagged a great P2, but I mean, talk us through it. What were your thoughts here on that race?
Yeah, surprised myself really. It was alright. I qualified quite well. I thought I was going to be about 10th, but did a decent lap and then just trained it the whole time. Stick to what I'm decent at, and then just hugged the P's for the rest of the race.
Yeah, and I mean, I noticed. I know Jamie and I had noticed. Over the course of the race, I'll say your DRS management was looking much better than I'll say than P's ahead. Nathan I was a little bit further ahead. So I mean, were you? I noticed you did stick behind P's for a while there. I'll say over the back half of the race near the end. Was that part of your strategy of just sticking behind and going for the overtake later on in the race when you knew you wouldn't have that much of an opportunity to fight back? Or what was your strategy looking at that, given that it seemed like you were so close and just that much, I mean, missing out on the move by that much, I would say.
Yeah, I've been like done in the past where I've got past too early and then they've got back past me at the end, so I knew I wasn't going to catch Nathan because he's rapid because of brake cheat. And but yeah, I knew that if I left it to the last lap or two, should be able to get him with the advantage of VRS.
Yeah, and I mean my last question here is of course we saw Nathan got that extra 3-second time penalty, put his total up to 6 seconds. You having 3 seconds, I'm sure you probably saw that as well on your on your HUD. Did it cross your mind to maybe, I might actually have a chance of getting that top step, of getting the win here?
No chance. It's not like me to win a race, and Nathan's too quick. For every second, the best.
All right. And then Jamie, anything to add at all?
Your third podium of the season, is that correct, Rocco?
Not a clue. I kept telling.
Now, let's refresh your memory. So we've got Portugal, we've got Brazil, and we've got this race. So yeah, I think it's 3.
Nice.
Yeah, how do you think your season's gone so far, mate? Because it's nice to see you up there, by the way, on the podium. It's your 3rd one of the season, and you came close to victory last time in Brazil, but just almost got there. Is that the reason why you did join the party last week? Because you got a little bit frustrated?
Oh no. I don't know what I was doing. I probably went and eat or something last week. But yeah, I was close actually. I didn't realise how close I was until the end, but yeah, it's all part of the fun.
How do you think this season's gone so far for you, Rocco?
Yeah, better than I thought. Because I joined like 2 races late, I think. I don't know where I ended in the standings. I don't know if it was 5th or whatever. But yeah, pretty good.
What do you think is your best race this season, Rocco?
I can't remember. maybe last week in Brazil. I don't know. I think I was alright then.
I think it was Brazil as well, judging by the performance last time out. But congratulations on the podium, mate. You've done a fantastic job yet again. And tactical-wise, saving the ERS proved beneficial for you at the end of the race, didn't it?
Yeah, cheers for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, congratulations indeed. Another podium for you, and I mean, a great finish to the season. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There you go. All right, took a look. I don't think we're gonna be getting Peas in here for the for his thoughts. So I think we'll probably wrap things up here one more time here for the end of it. I mean, Jamie, before we end off the stream here, any final words for us?
From the evaluation race, probably last season as well when I came to commentate with you for a bit. From those time hours, it's been enjoyable every single race. I've always had fun commentating with you, and so it's just been so good. Like we just managed to get a good rhythm going between you and me. So yeah, gonna miss it until next time out in 2022, the new game. So yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to show what I could do in the commentary box with you, and sharing knowledge and learning from you as well, because I've always learned from you every time you've done commentary. So yeah, thank you so much, Eric.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for coming in, week out, joining me in the booth. It's honestly been fantastic. A highlight of my Sunday for sure. And I mean, I'd be absolutely lying if I said I didn't actually pick up a thing or 6 from you as well, Jamie, over the course of this. So always learning from you as well. And yeah, I think really gotten into a great groove throughout the season, and honestly it's been great having you in the booth throughout the season with me, so thank you for joining me. The races have been fantastic here all season, but that is the end of season 6, so we're going to be having a bit of an extended break here. Of course, season 7 will be on the new installment F1 2022 when that comes out. Of course, drivers are going to be taking a little bit of time to get used to the game. Of course, you just want to play the game, have fun before jumping into all the league thoughts. So we'll have some news on that as it comes out here. Management working hard behind the scenes to get that sorted out. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself, Jamie, and everybody here at ISRL Esports, I do want to say thank you so much for watching through the entire season. We will see you all in season 7, and have yourselves a fantastic evening.